Hi, I'm Anna at Alice Caroline. We are a Liberty Fabric retailer and we are obsessed with all things about Liberty and sewing. Today I'm going to show you a tutorial which is stitching in the ditch. So this is a type of quilting and it's a really simple type of quilting, and it simply means sewing in the seams of your quilt. So I've made this really cute baby quilt for my nephew-to-be, which is quite exciting. And it's a really beautiful quilt which is based on half square triangles and the pinwheel design. So I've made the quilt top here. You can see the quilt top. I've constructed that and I've put my border on, and now I'm ready to quilt it. So I thought I would show you very quickly how to make a quilt sandwich. So what you do with your quilts, imagine this is my quilt top, this piece here. This is my finished quilt top in mini version. And what you do is you get your backing. This is my backing fabric. I place that right side down on my surface. I put my wadding on top, and I always try and cut my wadding slightly bigger than my quilt so that it gives you a bit of give and take. And then I put my quilt top on top. And what you need to do then is you need to baste these layers together, and you can either baste them using tacking stitches, so large stitches, but what I like to use is this glue. So I would dab glue onto my backing fabric, onto the wrong side. Then I would put my wadding on top, press firmly, make sure you've got no lumps and bumps in it. So iron out all those lumps and bumps. Now I'm using my hands to press that out, but you could always use an iron. And then again, we're going to put some dabs of glue onto the wadding. And then we're going to put our quilt top on top. Now you just need to make sure you've got your fabrics around the right way. There we are. So I've done that in large scale. So that's my mini version. So I've done that in large scale on this quilt here. And also, as well as using the glue, I've used these pins that you can use at regular intervals to give you an extra layer of basting. So once we've basted our layers together, we can move across to the sewing machine. Now you can use, I've got a regular foot on here, but it's really worth investing in. You can use this regular foot, but it's really worth investing in a walking foot. Now this is a walking foot. It makes it a lot easier for the fabric, the layers of the quilt to go through. And then you just firmly put that in place. And then we're going to move across to the sewing machine and stitch. So I just wanted to show you what stitching in the ditch is. So you've got each of your seams here. So you're stitching in the ditch of the seam. So it's worthwhile deciding where you want to quilt or how you want to quilt it before you move across the machine. So you can either sew just simply around the outside of your quilt block, or you can follow all the lines of the seams by moving inwards on all of these seams here. That gives it some extra strength and body when it's put through the washing machine. This quilt is for a baby, so it will be used an awful lot and it will be washed an awful lot. So it's worth doing. So you can use a normal foot like this for quilting, but it's worth investing, if you're going to be quilting an awful lot, it's worth investing in a walking foot. So I'm going to start my seam by securing my stitches, and then I'm simply stitching along the ditch of that seam. Now with this quilt, I'm going to sew all the way along that seam rather than sewing in a square all around the outside. I'm simply going to sew along the ditch, all the way along. And you can see that the walking foot's making it move really easily, because there are 3 layers and it can be it can be quite bulky depending on what wadding you use. Now there are loads of different types of waddings out there. There's 100% cotton, there's polyester, there's bamboo. So it's worth finding the one that you love. We like one that's called Heirloom, and it's 80% cotton and 20% polyester. So that's quite a nice one. Or there are really thick ones like Dream Puff, which give a much sort of puffier feel to your quilt. So you can see there, we've just done one seam, stitching in the ditch, and we will do that throughout the whole quilt. So once you've sewn along all of your seams, it's quilted, and all you have to do then is to bind your quilt. Now we're going to come back. You just need to refer to our binding tutorial on that one, so we will show you how to bind this quilt. So just go to the next video on our YouTube channel.